Uh, tonight, we also, along with all these wonderful performers, got a little stand-up comedy going. And but I got to admit, it's just been a pleasure performing with all these professional musicians. Because at one time in my life, I was also a professional musician. Oh, okay, my dad gave me $20 to quit playing the accordion, but a gig's a gig, right, guys? Are you with me on that? Okay, yeah, that's right. So. Anyhow, it's great to be back on stage. Really, this COVID thing has just been a terrible impact on my comedy career as it goes. I tell you what, it's tough doing comedy with a mask on, because people can't see your lips move. How do they know you're lying? Yeah. The worst thing that happened as a comedian is being taken seriously. You don't want that to happen. See, I was actually volunteering at a vaccination clinic, and it was kind of an interesting experience. And I got vaccinated, and my wife was coming in her vaccination, and I was kind of worried about the side effects, from the vaccination. So I asked the nurses there, I said, what should I expect? And she said, well, it kind of varies from person to person, but actually, the worse you feel after the vaccination, the better it's working. Oh, okay. So my wife comes in, and I looked at her, and I just looked her straight in the eye with the most loving look I could give her, and I said, I hope you get sick as a dog. You ever had something sound better in your head than it did when you actually said it? Yeah, that was one of those bad experiences. Yeah, I live way up in the foothills of the Sierra, and I'll tell you what, it's nice to be down here in Antioch, because Antioch is not on fire. Pardon? Currently on fire, yes. That's very true. I think right now it's not if you're going to catch on fire, it's when. There have been so many fires here in California, I heard they're actually going to change the state bird to an airplane dropping fire retardant. Seriously. It's rough up here. And of course, PG&E shuts off our power at least once a week, which is really kind of them to do that. And they call it a public safety power shutoff. I call it a hate crime. I think they're prejudiced against people who have, like, light bulbs or something. I don't know what the hell they're... Anyhow, what bothers me is they shut the power off every time they say that the wind blows, okay? And have you noticed we're spending billions of dollars on wind turbines? Which kind of is strange. And I've also noticed that they're spending a lot of money on solar panels. So the next thing they'll probably shut the power off when the sun shines. I don't know. We finally got tired of just going without power. It was just too much to deal with. So they finally broke me, and I bought a backup generator, and literally they broke me. Have you seen the price of backup generators? Holy moly, they cost a fortune. And I actually bought it here in Antioch. Yeah, I drove all the way down here to Antioch because it was the only one in the whole state left. Everybody's buying them. And I walked in, and I was talking to the guy, and he says, you're really going to like this backup generator. He says, the one nice thing about it is it's an electric start. And I said, I have to turn it on before the power goes out? And he said, no. It has a battery. And I said, oh, okay. Well, what charges the battery? He said, the generator. And I said, okay, so the battery charges, the generator charges the battery starts the generator. What if the battery's dead? And he said, no, it's not a problem. He said, you just pull the rope. I said, you pull the rope to drag the generator over to an outlet? What do you do with the rope? He says, no, it's like a lawnmower. You just pull it. Now, I've tried to start lawnmowers, okay? So I'm not falling for this one. I said, is this thing easy to start? He says, yeah. After it's been running for a couple hours, it starts with one pull. So I bought it, and it's great having a generator now, because before we had this, we would just go, without anything for 3 or 4 days, no power. And I'll tell you what, we live so far up, we have a well. We don't have city water. We have a well. So we have no water when the power goes out. We have to buy bottled water. Do you know how many crystal geysers it takes to flush a toilet? I'm telling you, cost a fortune. Oh, let's see where I am. You're going to notice that I'm going to be referring to notes because I am old and I have no memory, so please forgive me. My wife is here tonight, and we have been married for 50 years. A little round of applause for that, huh? Last May was our 50th wedding anniversary. I'll tell you what, I had this blowout party planned. It was going to start with a 7-day cruise of the Mediterranean, 3 days in Tuscany, and finish up with a couple of days in Venice. I don't know what she had planned. We really didn't talk about it that much. Of course, COVID screwed that whole thing up, so we ended up having nachos and a beer at Chili's. Not exactly how I planned it, but yeah, you do what you can. Maybe next year, who knows? Well, I was thinking about when we got married, because we met back in the 60s, if you can remember. Well, nobody can remember back that far, my gosh. Really, there was life back in the 60s. And if you do know anything about it, that was the time of free love, and also free clinics. Yeah. A lot of people didn't think they needed to get married, but I'll tell you what, my wife had no trouble at all getting me to propose, because she had heard that saying that the quickest way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And if you've noticed, I've got a 4-lane highway from my stomach to my, with a commute lane for dessert, actually. She took me home for Thanksgiving, and her mother cooked, and I married before the pumpkin. I mean, I proposed before the pumpkin pie. I'll tell you what, I was sold. I said, I'm going to get into this family. Her father, however, was not so sure that we should get married. And he kept asking me all of these really just embarrassing questions. And the one I think I hated the worst was, young man, do you have a good enough job to support a family? And I said, yeah, I got a good job. I'm doing okay. And apparently that was the right answer, because he moved in with us. I had not planned on that, so that was kind of news. Yeah, we have been married for so long now. You may have noticed this with older couples. They start to look alike, become one person. Have you noticed that? You know, just together so long you can't tell them apart. I'll tell you what, we even starting to dress alike. I came home one day from work, and she was wearing one of my shirts, looked good in it, and I'm wearing her socks tonight, because those control top pantyhose are slimming. I'll tell you, they really work. There. I'll tell you what, we have been married so long that she knows everything that I'm thinking. We were sitting in the living room, and I turned to her and I said, hey, you know what I think? And she told me. And she was right. That's what I was thinking. We've been married so long that our farts actually smell the same. No, it's true. It's true. Yeah, she'll rip one off, and I'll apologize, because I don't know. I just don't know. There's no sense taking a chance on it. Oh, let's see what else. We got 2 sons, of course, and they are just the love of our life. And I'll tell you, I think the reason that we love them so much is because they're so much like us. From my wife, they got a musical ability, appreciation for the arts, a love of literature, and from me, they got back hair and bad posture. Pretty much that was my contribution. But anyhow, we love them, but none of you guys have been through this, but someday you may. It comes that time, and maybe you've gone through it on the other side, I should say. You remember when it was time to leave home? And how your parents reacted to that. My wife and I were on the front porch. She was crying. I was hanging my head. And we could not get him to leave. So the next time, we went out and we just moved. And now he's supporting my father-in-law, so that's a win-win, I'll tell you right there. We are pretty happy about that. You know, one of the reasons I've been married for so long is because I have a complete and absolute fear of ever dating again. Now, you guys date, right? I'm sure you do. And I'll tell you what, I could not go through that again. One of the things that I have noticed about women nowadays that I didn't notice in my day is they all have these piercings. Have you noticed that? That just scares me to death. I mean, wouldn't you have to take some of that shrapnel off? You could get cut to pieces. And I'll tell you what, I'm not that mechanically inclined. Well, what if during foreplay, I got confused and had to say righty-tighty, lefty-loosey? That's not going to get me where I want to go. I'm telling you that right now. And I'll tell you, I know what's going to happen. If I ever do get it all off, I'll never get it all back on again. Because, every time I take some apart, there's always parts left over. And there she's going to be walking out the door with that plastic bag taped on her butt. Well, that's where you put the parts, right, in case you get a chance to work on it again, but that's not going to happen. I can see that right now. We had this kind of This is a tough conversation. Again, these are all old jokes. I apologize because most of the audience is probably very young, but someday you will be old and you'll know what I'm talking about. We had this conversation that older couples hate to have, and that's the one that says, who's going to go first? Oh, yeah, that's a tough one. And she said, no, 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 I've got to go first. She said, I will never, ever find anyone as wonderful as you. And I just looked her straight in the eye and said, I know. Hey, you don't contradict your wife. That's how you stay married for 50 years, okay? Yeah, yeah. Well, finally she gave up. She says, okay, if you go first, I'm buying a dog. And I said, I didn't even know she liked dogs. But that might explain why she put my name on my cereal bowl and I have to eat on the floor. But anyhow, I'm not sure about that. Anyhow, you know, about a week later after this conversation, we're in Safeways doing the weekly shopping, you know, and for some reason, for no reason at all, she turns down the dog food aisle and starts looking on the shelves. I'll tell you what, I didn't sleep for 3 days. That just made me nervous as I could be. Well, let's see. We got, as I've said, I'm old. And, you know, it's good to be old because if you don't get older, that's bad. Okay, I'm telling you that right now. You want to get older. Don't worry about it. That's what you want to do. I think things actually get better when you're older. Truly, they do. I mean, as I've gotten older, I think I'm getting better. For one thing, I'm getting a lot taller than I used to be. I'm pretty sure of that because I used to be able to touch my toes, and now they're about 6-7 inches farther away. Okay, pretty sure I'm well over 6 foot now. Haven't measured myself, but pretty sure I am. Another thing is my eyesight's gotten better. Used to be I couldn't see anything without my glasses. Now I just look over the tops of them all the time. So I'm pretty sure that's good. Not everything is better though. My bladder shot. You know, I just hate to say that. And also my balance is going. And I had a friend of mine, she's a nurse, a registered nurse, and I told her about this, and she said, well, this is what you do to regain your balance when you're brushing your teeth in the morning. She says, just do it standing on one foot. So I gave that a try. I fell over so often, I just quit brushing my teeth. Now I got gingivitis. I don't know what we're going to do about that. So, yeah, I have more hair on my butt than I do on my head. And that's my forehead goes all the way back to my shoulder blades. And that's kind of an embarrassing thing. And it reminds me of that old saying, you know, they hear that there's maybe snow on the roof, but there's still a fire in the furnace. Yeah, I found out what that means. That means that you've got dandruff and acid reflux. That's exactly what that means. So, yeah. Oh, let's see. I have to have a physical every year now because they want to make sure I can still pay. And, yeah, so I went in for my physical. And the doctor had this height-weight chart. You've all seen these, right? The height-weight chart. And this work of fiction, as far as I'm concerned, it makes no sense to me. And I told him, for my height, I'm supposed to weigh 145 pounds. Oh, for God's sake, I ate that in cheeseburgers last year. Might explain a little bit of the problem I'm having with the chart. But anyhow, I looked at the doctor straight in the eye and I said, look, this thing is stupid. And I don't even know why you have it. And he looked me straight back in the eye and he said, Dan, you know what you need to do, don't you? And I said, yes, I do. I need to grow 17 inches taller. Apparently, according to this chart, it's be right on the money then. I did find out, though, because, you know, you're in the waiting room naked for a long time, so you read everything that's in there. And there's small print on the bottom of this chart, and it says the older you are, the more you can weigh for your height. So I got a little bit of an engineering background, and I did the math real quick. I want to be right on the money when I'm 907. So I'm not worried about that stuff anymore, I'll tell you. Oh, what else I got going here? Oh, yes. Speaking of dieting, I wish I could because I can't remember what I wrote on it. One of the things that has really been bothering me here lately is I've been getting about 3 or 4 email a day from manufacturers of Viagra. And I don't know how they got my email address. So I asked my wife, I said, what would we do with a 4-hour erection anyway? And she looked at me and she said, "You mean the other 3 hours and 54 minutes of it?" So I said, "Yeah." I said, maybe you could just crochet with it. And she said, "I prefer knitting. You could call a friend." I don't want to go into detail, but I now have a sweater with one arm way longer than the other, and it's very embarrassing to me. And enough said about that. So, yeah. Another thing that I've noticed, and a lot of the guys here, I'm looking around, a lot of you guys have tattoos, beautiful tattoos, love them. But I'll tell you what, this is wrong. People my age are actually starting to get tattoos for the first time, and that is not right, okay? That is like painting over the dents on your car, okay? It is not going to hide the damage. It's just not. And I'll tell you what, I have no idea what kind of a tattoo I would get anyhow. They scare me to death. I saw one, it was like a coiled snake with the words, "Don't tread on me." But I would have to change that to, "Don't kick me when I'm down." I think that was... Here's one that really scared me to death. It was a heart with a dagger through it, for God's sake. Like a man my age wants to be reminded of a stabbing pain in his heart. If I get a tattoo of a heart, it's going to have a quadruple bypass tattooed on it, I think. Lipitor or death. That's what it would say on mine, I'll tell you. Oh, I apologize for having to look here, but I took up golf. Anybody here play golf? Is that an old man's thing? Yeah, golf, yeah. Miniature golf, yeah. I was just horrible at it. Just horrible at it. And so this friend of mine, pretty good golfer, I said, I was telling him, I said, "Boy, I wish I played better." He said, "Well, Dan," he said, "I'll tell you what." He says, "I'll go out to the green with you." I said, "I'll just walk a couple of holes with you, give you some pointers, see if I can improve your game." And I said, "Whoa, that would be so good." So we went out to the local golf course, and I'll tell you what, I teed up the ball, took a mighty swing, and he told me right then what I was doing wrong. He said, "Dan, you're standing too close to the ball after you hit it. That's the problem when you got that." Boy, that one died bad. That was usually a good, no golfers here. Whoa. Okay, moving on. Well, anyhow, I ended up hitting the ball out into the rough like I normally do. It's way off the course. And we went out and finally found it. And I said, what club do you think I should use here? He said, "You got a weed whacker?" And I do. I carry one in my bag, So I got back out in the fairway, and there was a bunch of people still up on the green. And I said, "Do you think I should yell 4? He said, 2.5, 3 tops. I wouldn't, no. So we finally got on the green, and I pulled out my putter, and he said, "Dan, the way you've been hitting the ball, I'd just stay with the driver. I think you would do okay there." Anyhow, it was a great day. I learned a lot from him, and one of the things that I found out about golf is the toughest part of it is trying to write 2 numbers in those little squares. Another golf dead joke, I'll tell you. Whoa, no golfers here tonight. Hope some of you that are listening are golfers. Okay, well, let's see. I got maybe one more here that I wanted to talk about. I talked a little bit about camping before. And, we used to camp a lot, and then we kind of got away from that. I don't know if you've noticed this or not. If you do camping, the older you get, the farther you have to be off the ground. Have you noticed that? When you're a little kid, they just throw a blanket out on the rocks and you sleep on it, and then finally you say, "No, I got to have one of those ground cover things, a little," and then you got to have the air mattress, and then pretty soon you're on a cot, and the next thing you know, you're like in an RV. The last time we went camping, I was on the 2nd floor of a Hyatt, okay? That's where I am in my camping. But we used to camp a lot, and it was, I can't say that we really roughed it, okay? It's more like urbanizing the forest, to be right truthful. We took everything we could possibly carry out to the campsite to make our life easier. And, of course, you're living here in California. The guy next to you is some purist. He's going to be over complaining about your campsite. And the guy comes over and he said, your tent is way too tall. And I said, "Really?" I said, "It's got a ceiling fan. I need the headroom." And so anyhow, he calls the forest ranger, and the forest ranger comes over and he says, "You have got to shut off that generator." And I said, "I just got the hot tub filled up." What am I going to do with all this microwave popcorn, you know? So anyhow, it's tough. Have you ever tried to get a king-size air mattress through those little tent doors? I'll tell you, it takes some skill to do that. We did have one thing that I'm not too proud of, and that's the camping chairs. And then I couldn't afford the nice ones, so I got those aluminum chairs with the nylon straps. You've seen those. You know, uneven ground. You start to lean over, and pretty soon it just snaps up around your ass like you've been eaten by a handbag. And, it's pretty embarrassing. I told you about the couple next door, so that was kind of an interesting thing. But one of the things, you go camping, and I think you agree with me on this, mosquitoes. Mosquitoes. It's got to be like a 4-star restaurant, mosquitoes. People out there with tank tops on and shorts, for God's sake. One night I was laying in bed, and I swear I heard this. Admittedly, I may have had a few too many cocktails before I got in. But anyhow, I swear I heard this outside the tent. It was this mosquito, and he says, "Good evening, my name is Marcel, and I will be your waiter for this evening's meal. I'd like to tell you about some of tonight's specials. We have a fat bastard in a lawn chair. I had some myself, very nice." Yeah, I might have drank a little bit too much, I don't know. But anyhow, you get all done camping, and, you got to go home, and this is what I don't understand. You get the car all full, you go camping, you eat the food, you get rid of some of the stuff. Why doesn't it fit back into the car? Why is that? It never fits back in. I always have to tie something on the roof to get it home. It never fails. And, of course, my loving wife is there just complaining about the way I tie things up. And I don't know why, because not once has she ever fallen off, no matter how. How are we doing on time? Okay. Yeah, I got one more I want to tell you. And this is a real story. This has really happened. My wife and I, we were out someplace, and it was just a beautiful spring afternoon. We were walking down the sidewalk, and it was just a lovely, lovely day. And coming toward me was the most beautiful woman I have ever seen in my life. Oh, my gosh. She had long auburn hair that just bounced with each step she took. And it was as if I could just reach out and touch her. And then I felt this pain in my chest. And I looked down, and my wife had hit me with her fist. I said, "Well, why did you do that?" And she says, "Because I know what you were thinking." And I said, well, no, you didn't. And she says, "Why, after this many years of being married to you, do you think I don't know exactly what's going through your mind?" And I said, "Because you didn't hit me nearly hard enough." So this has been fun tonight. I don't know what we got going on after this, but I've enjoyed this. You guys are great. I love your music. Thanks you for coming out. Let's not forget the charity, Ween Dream, weendream.com. Org. I knew it was right. weendream.org. It's going to help kids enjoy Halloween. They actually work in the Tenderloin area, which I often wondered how the people there got their clothes. And now I think I understand. It makes so much sense to me now. I probably shouldn't have said that. No, it's a good charity. I'm sorry. It's a good charity. Please support them. And thank you for having me tonight. I hope everybody had a good time.